Hello, Eric. I was really looking forward to chatting with you today about a few things, so I still wanted to capture our time and hold it sacred. I really am sorry about your dog, and I just want to check in on you with that, and I hope everything is going okay and you're going to be okay after that. So let's get to it. I know this year you've definitely felt like Homer Simpson here. This image kind of reminded me of you. I know you might think this is pretty comical. So I know there's been times this year when you felt like you've been stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of not having a lot of materials and some student behaviors. And I know you've had to grapple with kind of your expectations and especially thinking about your experiences as a student and then trying to think about how to rationalize that with the experiences of our students today. And I do really appreciate that you've always been solutions oriented. And so I love that about you, and I want you to continue to do that. So I'm trying to present to you two different solutions today, and then we can talk about them more. So I want to think about a two-pronged action plan. First one is a behavior tracker for specific students. I know there are a few students that really have the potential to get off your entire class, so I want to make sure you really focus on a plan for them. And I also want to think about a new class structure that will maximize some of your strengths and minimize some of the things that you've struggled with. So in terms of our action plan, I want to make sure we are sticking to this for Ian, Jet Li, and Johnny. I know I made you that science tracker. I'm excited to hear how that's going. I know Miss Batten gave me some feedback and she thought it was really powerful for those kiddos. So please make sure you are sticking to that and making sure you're holding the kiddos to that so that they can be successful and that we can try to start minimizing those big behaviors in your classroom. I want to focus now on the big picture and what I really want us to accomplish today in this little conversation. This is something that I've talked to Ms. Tuluyo about, and hopefully when you watch this video, you can watch it with her and you guys can think about these different pieces. So, as you know, your block is 83 minutes. Right here, I've outlaid about 78 minutes of time, which gives you a 5-minute window. I know sometimes class doesn't start right away, so that has some of that embedded, but also please know that these times are a little bit flexible. Maybe you want to have a longer lesson, and maybe you can add those 5 minutes to the lesson, or maybe you think the exit ticket's going to be a little bit shorter, and you can take 5 minutes from there and add it to other pieces. This is the skeleton and the draft that I want us to be using. You and I talked about this a while ago, but I know with all the Chromebook craziness, it got off topic, but I want to make sure we're focused on this moving forward. So, big picture. These are the components that every one of your lessons should have. A do now, your lesson, a little framing for what they're going to do today, some rotations, and then an exit ticket. So just going to pause that for a little bit so you can look at that and try to internalize that. Now I'm going to break this down even further so you can kind of see what I mean by these different pieces. The do now, this is something you've already been doing. I haven't seen it as much in your class lately, but that's also because I might not be in there as early as I normally am. So the vocabulary PowerPoint with cold calling was something strong that you did to really hold kids accountable to knowing all their vocabulary words. You can also do a Kahoot with some table teams and some various questions on those different vocabulary words. On Friday, you can have kids take a quick vocabulary quiz on words from this lesson this week. So this is something that you can do as your ritual. Like every time they come in, they know they're practicing vocabulary and they know they're going to have a quiz on Friday. And that Friday quiz can be one of the grades that you use. Because I know yesterday you were concerned about only using exit tickets as grades. Okay? So it's like one thing I think we can keep, a system that we can have only for 5 minutes, just a quick little warm up. Imagine it as a warm up that kids can do when they first walk in. Next, we would have our lesson. So, this is something that you're really strong in, Eric, and I want you to make sure that you're leveraging this. You make things incredibly kid-friendly. I feel like I understand science better now from being in your class. So in this, I want you to break down the standard like we practiced with Shaquelle. I want you to focus on those key points and make sure they're visible throughout those 15 minutes. You can use your textbook as this as the anchor or STEM scopes because I know you like to have some type of anchor text. And then please, please, please use guided notes. I know that's feedback that you receive from Raven and from Lucina. Instead of the kids just filling them in all at the beginning and then you talking after them, have them do it as you're going. So even if you just have like 6 or 7 slides, you can print those slides on a handout and have the kids fill in a few words so kids are following along with you. Okay? I know you don't like talking to kids for a long time. I know that's been something that you struggle with in the past. So please, this can just be a quick hit of all the big vocabulary words, some of the big key concepts for 15 minutes, and then you can move on. After that, we're going to want to frame a rotation. So we're going to have 3 rotations, and you can spend about a minute on each one setting expectations for that. This is something that you can practice with Joy after this watching this video. So when you're thinking about that, you want to think about what kids are going to accomplish in those stations and the expectations for those stations. So what should kids be talking? Should they be on level 1, level 0? What program should they be on? How are they going to show that they're complete? And then you want to also think about your attention getter. So if those rotations are 15 minutes long, how are we going to move kids to the next station? Are we going to have some type of song that goes on? Are we going to have a clap and they know to move on? What do we want the transitions between those different stations to look like? Okay, one thing that I think might be helpful is I know in the past we talked about having a high, medium, and a low group. A lot of times our low kids have some of our biggest behavior issues. So what I was thinking is we could have 3 groups for 7.1. So let's think about your first class, right? You could have an A, a B, and a C group. Instead of having the highest, the medium, and the lowest kids, we could do a behavior mix and kind of a high, medium, low mix. So for example, you might want, Adrian Pena, Ali Rivera, and Jet Li in this group. So you have some high, some medium, and some low kids, and you kind of spread out the different behavior kids, so it's not like one group has all the behavior issues. Hopefully this will help isolate some of the students that struggle into a group where they can have a peer that kind of models the right behavior for them. So one thing you'll have to do, and one thing when we're looking about setting up this plan, is you're going to have to set up, for my first class, these are the 3 groups for this class. For my second class, these are these 3 groups, and we can put it into something similar to this chart, and you can just display it to the kids so they know which rotation they're going to be in. Once kids know where they're going, then they'll just follow a simple pattern. So rotation 1 is A, B, C, then they move on to the next station. I can show you how to more specifically set that up. Okay, so you're going to have 3 15-minute chunks. The first chunk is going to be called you on time. So during you on time, that's when the kids are with you. Okay, I imagine this one of 2 ways. One, it could be in a mini lab. So I think about something that you were going to do with Lucina when the students breathe water into the bromothmal. Excuse me when I say that word. So like that's something that you can do with the kids after your mini lesson, because I know you've wanted to do experiments with them, but doing them whole group makes you nervous. So I think doing them in a smaller group might be more beneficial. So you could have like a mini lab, you could have a mini activity. You can also have the kids just practicing with you and getting more feedback. So I know in the past you were a tutor, and I think that's something that we can leverage, and you can practice with the kids with feedback. So for example, in a past unit you did something with a Punnett square. Imagine how powerful it would have been if you only had 8 or 9 kids in front of you, and you can give them instant feedback on how they were doing, so you could help them understand for those 15 minutes. Okay, so this is your time. This means you do this 3 times per class period, and really means you would do it 12 times a day. So think about that in terms of sustainability when we're doing differentiation. That is going to be a little bit trickier because we'll be doing the same thing 12 times. The next thing they could do is the next rotation would be video. So while group A is with you, group B could be working on watching videos. You are great at finding engaging videos. I can help you actually set up a YouTube channel. That's something that I did in my classroom. So kids knew this day they were working on this video. Edpuzzle is also an awesome resource. I actually was looking for you earlier and went on to Edpuzzle. They have a bunch of videos that you can literally just search with CFUs embedded. So they literally have this video right here, which is an introduction to the skeletal system, and it has CFUs already for kids. It's about 11 minutes long. It could be stretched to 15 because by the time kids sign in and they answer the different questions, that's about 15 minutes right there. This literally took me about 5 seconds to find and watch and to check that it works. So this is definitely something that you can do to have kids have a visual and then have CFUs embedded. Okay, the last thing is the other tech block. So if I check again, I think about big picture. Here we are, the rotations. We have 3 of them. A third of the kids will be with you. A third of the kids will be watching videos to make sure they understand. And then the other third will be either on STEMscopes or BirdBrain. I know we can get creative. There's a bunch of different programs. I'd say let's first start with STEMscopes and BirdBrain for those 15 minutes. I also know that BirdBrain is limited. So with BirdBrain, we can only pick 1 article per week, and then the other 4 rotations are working on STEMscopes, or you can have them practice other programs, so we can reach out to Ms. Graham or other people about, okay? So in terms of STEMscopes, I think this is an underutilized resource right now in your classroom. I was just searching on it today to help you out with this. For those 15 minutes, if I just look here, this is the scope we're working on right now, Systems of the Human Body. Literally all the stuff with S are things that the kids can do. So these are a bunch of different videos right here that we could use for the video block, and you can just assign those to kids. There are a bunch of different math connections, so they could do a math understanding of science. This one is really cool. They actually can search different things, and then they'll actually give them websites to then find different information, and they can check all their answers here. So there's a bunch of stuff that we can assign to kiddos, and I can show you how to do that again from our training. So there's a lot of stuff right within this that we can assign to kids for those 15-minute blocks. Because I know you're worried about the bird brain piece, but there are a ton of things in STEM Scopes, and there's also a few other programs I can suggest to you in terms of them working on that. After that, we can do our exit ticket. I know 10 minutes might be a little bit long. So for that, what we can do is we can wrap up the lesson, ask some lingering questions, make sure kids check in on their progress. If you have homework, you can have kids begin their homework. But we do want to make sure we have those last 10 minutes really sacred for us checking and making sure that the lesson that they got at the beginning of class and the activity that they did with you and the practice they did with you and the videos they watched and the STEM Scopes they practice all aligns to making sure they got it on the exit ticket. Okay, like I said earlier, there are 5 minutes of flexibility that we can kind of figure out how we want to use. Okay, so I just want to leave you with that. I'm going to keep this on here so you guys can talk through what this looks like and start to plan on that.